symptoms that you have had in the past? Tell me a little bit about your history.
For as long as I can remember, I've been treated for biting and grinding and clenching my teeth. My symptoms are terrible migraines, pain in my jaws, and I realize that I now do that throughout the day, but it doesn't seem to be something that I can control. Why I do it, I don't know. But I do know that when I was a very young child, I fell out of a garage and landed on my dad's car. And I was told later on that I had suffered a broken jaw. And that may be the reason why I do what I do. But my bite is off. I feel clicking and popping in my jaws and just a lot of pain in this area.
Is that on one side specifically or both sides? Both sides. Okay.
When I get a migraine, it normally always starts back here, and I'll wake up in the morning like I have just, I don't know, it's a fire in my head and in my jaws, and I can tell that I've been clenching all night long. I've been given a lot of night guards, and I seem to eventually bite through and break through every one of those. We've tried them, whole mouth pieces, small pieces, nothing seems to help me.
And right now, when you have your migraines that come on, what are you doing to manage those?
I have about 5 or 6 different medications that I have to take. You know, just alternate them to try to get rid of it. Or I end up at the hospital getting a shot. And I had a dentist years ago say that he could align my jaw better, and we've ground down my teeth. I've had a chiropractor try to adjust my jaw to change the bite. And like I said, nothing seems to help.
So you've kind of pretty much gone to all the medical
I've
different
exhausted all
professionals
resources.
that can try to help, and people give you
Right.
pretty much Band-Aids to cover up, but nobody's told you how they could actually stop what's going on.
And the sad thing to me is that I'm 53 years old, and I have lost so many teeth, and I thought it was because maybe it was something hereditary. My dad lost his teeth, but my father also had this same issue before he passed away. And it seems as if I now understand that all this clenching and grinding has been fracturing my teeth at the gum line, and now after having crowns put on and having root canals, they're breaking off, and now I'm running out of teeth. And I really never wanted to go to dentures, but it's like I've done this to myself, and I wish I could stop.
Yeah.
Well, some clenching and grinding is caused by the teeth, and just what your bite is doing. You may find with the correct correction to your bite that you do it a lot less, and you also don't get the response that you would get now, like when you bite down, the tightening of everything.
Right. May I show you something that the chiropractor showed me? He said
Sure.
when I broke my jaw, he believes this made my mouth open and shut different from everyone else.
Well, you got a good range of motion.
It swings
Swings
way
out,
over
yeah.
and then back up, and that's when he tried to adjust that, but it did more harm than it did good. So I told him, I said, you got to leave that alone.
Well, how old were you when you broke your jaw?
That had to have been when I was about 3 or 4.
Oh, so that would have affected your growth and development
Yes, sir.
of the jaw in some way.
And no one ever knew it. He saw something on the x-ray to tell him that I had a break at some point.
Uh-huh. And that's when you feel it was.
Yes.
But at the time, you didn't have a treatment for it? Or
Oh, no, sir.
You
You know,
just,
back then you just didn't run your kids to the doctor for anything unless it was hanging off and bleeding.
probably true.
So,
Probably true.
Mom
So-
put a butterfly on everything.
So you wore night guards. Even the small ones in front didn't help you in any way?
They do help. They keep me from having so many migraines, but eventually, the last one that Dr. Gatgens gave me, I somehow grind back front to back and side to side, and I'll wear a groove down, and it's
Yes.
so deep that eventually it'll just snap in half, and it's time to get another one. So, you know, set aside the fact that they once mentioned to me, well, we could fix all of this if we just rebroke your jaw. I don't really want to have to do all of that.
Well, it's possible that that would make a difference, but the real problem lies in how your teeth themselves function. So that's the main player in all of this. So they can stimulate a lot of clenching and grinding. They can promote the high muscle strain that you feel when you wake up in the morning. And so aligning your jaw can improve that tooth-to-tooth orientation, but it may not improve it as much as actually making the teeth strike in a way that minimizes the muscle activity. So that's kind of like when people have braces, they get their teeth really well aligned, but it doesn't stop their teeth from causing them to have, let's say, migraines or jaw pain, because the teeth themselves are a major contributor to the symptoms that you're describing and have been living with for a long time.
Right.
So unless the teeth operate optimally, the symptoms can persist regardless of what treatment you go through. That could be wearing a night guard or having your jaw reset. The teeth themselves are the biggest player. So that's what we're going to look at today.
Okay.
And it sounds like you've been dealing with it for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Your headaches, are they in the front of your head?
They will usually begin in the back, and it's almost like when I wake up, it's like I feel like I've been wrestling someone all night long, and it'll be such tightness through my shoulders and up through the back of my head, and then within, you know, an hour or so, it's all around the whole front. It's in my eyeball. It's everywhere.
Do you get tired chewing?
Yes.
Yes. Most things are just chewy foods.
It's just really chewy foods. But if it's something that's a little hard in texture, then as soon as I bear down, you'll hear a pop and a grind in my jaws.
Okay. And do you get soreness in your face? Not
Yes.
from the noise, but as you're
No,
chewing?
it just hurts sometimes just to touch as well in these areas. And I think it's because of the clenching and the grinding.
Well, it certainly, clenching and grinding certainly promotes high muscle firing on your head. So if you are a clencher and you do it a lot, it does activate these muscles. But again, that's the way the teeth operate. You could clench and grind if teeth operate better and not set off the response. In other words, or set off far less of a response. So that's what really has been not necessarily addressed as far as treating you. And having restored some teeth that broke or having some crowns made to strengthen some teeth, that doesn't mean that the bite is necessarily good on them as well, right? So they can, the mechanism that causes this problem is in the gum area. So teeth compress into the gum, and that makes muscles contract.
Gotcha.
So if you have a crown on a tooth, it still gets compressed into the gum. And how much compression it goes through is what dictates how much muscle activity is made.
Right.
So the top surfaces of your teeth, which hasn't been necessarily fixed yet, still remain as an element to cause a lot of these problems.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to take a look at you. Let me see what your bite is doing. Did you have braces?
No, sir. I had one dentist recommend me to do braces to help with the clenching and grinding, but I didn't understand why that would be of help to me, so we didn't do it.
It's a good question. You actually, braces doesn't necessarily change clenching and grinding habits. Again, alignment per se isn't a solution to these things. So, yeah, that's good.
Just got a little ice water, and I just want you to get a little swig of that, and then swish it. And scale of 1 to 10, give me a score as to where you might be.
That's a good 5.
A good 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
but now it'll ache longer because I've hit it with cold
That's
water.
all right. You don't necessarily
You don't
need to
have
do
to.
Bite, clench, slide out to your right, and open.
Yeah, she makes a lot of muscle activity. All that muscle activity. And that was a good recording. So again, you see the same thing. There's a
Yep.
slowdown. So there's a balancing component and a working side component, which would be the premolar data. So D, if we set it correctly, would be there. You could try to leave a cuss tip, but it's probably not going to be possible because she has balancing guidance going sideways. Close.
Oh, we're just gonna do that one side first.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
Open.
You do it any way you want, you know.
Bite, clench, slide towards me, and open.
It might have been a stoppage. Yeah, and there was the clench. Yeah, and then a little bit of a let go, but still pretty good. So to the right, correct? Okay, so that's good. Yeah, so there's almost no posterior contact, so D is definitely not in the right place. So we were able to lessen a lot of the muscle activity that you're making, but not down to almost none. You still make a lot. And that actually, without having back teeth or as many back teeth as you used to have, is a surprising finding that you have so much muscle activity that your body makes when you use your jaw. So what we'll hope is that you have less symptoms because you're going to make less muscle activity now that your bite has been refined further. But it's not a down to zero fix, which is unfortunate. It means you're always going to have some muscle activity. So the comfort zone that you achieve from having this done is really depends on how resistant you are to the muscle activity that you've been making for all these years.
Is there anything I can do to decrease it?
It's the way you move. It's interesting. Just moving your jaw, there's a lot of muscle activity in your head and in your face, which is rare to see, but it's there. And maybe your accent, I mean, we would only be guessing that,
Right.
may have set you up for that high response growing, with an injury like that. But there's no way to know.
Right.
So what we were able to do is decrease it noticeably, but not to where it's gone. So
Right.
hopefully you'll feel some changes that will indicate that you are having less of a problem as time goes on.
Yes.
And you said you can't get the same feeling when you clench,
Right,
so that's a good thing.
yes.
All right. You don't feel your face tightening up, or you
No,
don't.
sir.
No. I mean, if you did that before, you'd.
It's like, in order for me to get that same grip, it would have to be a noticeable effort on my part.
And before you didn't have to make an effort. You just
No,
had to bite
I
it down.
just did it because they all touched so closely. I think that when I clenched it was something I didn't notice. Now I notice
Yeah.
that if I want to get that clench, I'm going to have to
Really
drop
try.
down.
Yeah.
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 So I'm hoping that you're correct in that too.
Yes. Well, if you don't actively try to do it,
Yep.
your teeth won't do it to you anymore.
And then maybe I can break that habit. I don't know, but I'm going to try.
Yes, it would be a good thing.
Thank you so much.
Well, it came out nicely, so
Right.
hopefully it'll be a reduction that will have an effect on your symptoms as well.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Does your face hurt from what we did or any of that? No. And typically, would you, if you were chewing, would you get jaw pain?
Yes,
So that's a good sign also, because what you were doing is actually chewing back and forth.
right.
And-
And I don't feel as sore. I was already sore this morning from what I did last night,
Yeah.
but that soreness is not there right now.
Ah, that's good.
So it feels better.
That's a start. Do you have any questions for us?
No, sir. Just, I guess I would ask you, just continue to wear the night guard at night, correct?
You don't need to wear the night guard.
I don't need to.
No.
Okay.
I want you to stop that, yeah.
Okay.
We have taken those problem areas in the teeth and removed them, and so now those problem areas are not there.
Okay.
And so now that those problem areas aren't there, your muscles are gonna be able to start to get some of that relaxation. But like Dr. Kerstein was saying, how much relaxation and how much that your muscles can drop to a baseline where your symptoms completely,
Mhm.
we'll just, we'll have to see how much relief that we get with the symptoms.
Okay.
Based on that, but we'll see you back in about 7 to 10 days,
Okay.
and we'll reevaluate things and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Because things will start to change once those muscles relax a little bit. Your jaw position can change a little bit, and so we'll take another look at everything.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it,
The only
guys.
other thing I want you to do is just do this ice water swish again and see what you feel.
That tooth is still very sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just feeling like it's probably from what I've been doing to it all this time. I
Mhm.
feel like if I give it some time, it's not near as bad as when I first came to see you,
Mm-hmm.
but I still feel it.
Yeah. But is it at the same level that you said it was probably about a 5 earlier?
No, I
before
would
we
say
started?
probably a 3.
Probably 3. Okay. Great. Excellent.
As far as your night guard goes, if you found that you didn't wear it and you really woke up in a lot of pain
Mhm.
because you really did try to clench, you could go back to wearing it,
Okay.
as a protective barrier.
Right.
But the hope is that you'll not have to use it because you don't get the response from now biting down that you're used to getting, right?
Right.
So if you were to sleep and you put your teeth together, subconsciously, you won't get the same physical response.
Well, it almost seems to me like if I'm biting, I'm now having to use the front part of my teeth to get that pressure that I was getting.
Yes.
So it makes me wonder if the headaches will lessen because I can't get that real tight grip back here.
That's what we would be hoping for. Even though you still make a lot of muscle activity, if it's enough lessening from what was done and healing takes place from the lessening, then you'll have less of the symptoms. So that's going to be a good thing.
Okay. Again, I thank you guys a lot.
No, it was good. It was a very good thing to.
All right, so Suzanne, it's been about 2.5 weeks, right, since we originally saw you on Friday and did the initial DTR therapy. So talk to me. Tell me what you've experienced since then.
What I've noticed is that I am no longer clenching at the back. My teeth don't even touch there.
Okay.
I can chew, everything's great. I have noticed the pressure is toward the front now.
Right.
And I think that because I'm still a clencher, I'm still trying to do that at night. And so I was explaining to your assistant that I have always had migraines at the back of my skull. I think it was from the clenching. Now they've moved to the front.
Okay.
And today they're much lighter. For the first week afterwards, I woke up every day with a throbbing migraine.
Yeah, okay.
At the front.
Okay.
And it seems like the longer I go, the lesser it is.
Okay.
So I'm in hopes that as I get adjusted to this new bite, that maybe I won't be clenching as much. But I am wearing my night guard at night. Just
You have
because.
started, okay.
Just because, I tried the first night, and that's when I woke up with such a bad migraine. So I thought, maybe I better cushion that.
Okay.
I don't want to try to fracture those teeth in the front.
Yeah.
But as I notice the headache getting less, I'm going to try taking the night guard out again.
Yeah, it's because remember, those muscles are they're healing, okay?
Yes.
Everything is healing, and so if we lined up 10 people in a row and we did the same procedure on them, everybody may have a different response in their body, will heal differently. You had some very, very high muscle activity, if you remember back to everything, and even Dr. Kerstein was made some comments about that, and the results, we may get varying results with her just because she has such a high baseline of muscle activity even at rest. And so I am encouraged by what you said, that things have been able to become less and less. And so tell us exactly, you said the headaches had moved from the base in the back to the front now of the head, and tell me about how often is that happening?
Well, for the first week, it was every morning.
Okay, all right.
And, I also had some life events going on during that time, so that could have played into it, I don't know.
Sure.
But I did feel like that when I was biting, or I caught myself clenching during the day, which is something I do that I don't realize until I catch myself, that it was all on the front.
Right.
And even now, I can tell. It's such a good difference that I'm really encouraged myself, thinking that this is going to be better. I can go ahead and try now, not sleeping with the night guard, but like I told you, they were always back here and always located in one area, and I think that it was from the tight muscles.
Right. Sure.
So
do your jaw muscles feel more relaxed now?
They do.
Do you have less tension that you feel like?
They do. And I just can't hardly believe that. So that's why I think that when I catch myself going toward the front, I'm now using a new muscle that I haven't used before. Yeah. So I think it's a positive outcome.
Well, as things heal, what happens is the lower jaw drops and moves forward, okay? So just what you're kind of talking about is that you're going to feel a little more pressure on those front teeth. With us not having the back posterior molars to actually close on, we're kind of just working from premolar forward here, and so that is something that as everything heals and begins to relax, that the jaw does drop and kind of go downward in a forward position there. So that kind of makes sense with what you're talking about.
Well, I was always talking to you about replacing these teeth, and I was fearful that without this procedure, that if we put in, we went to the expense of putting in, what do you call it, a replacement tooth.
An implant?
Yeah, the implant, that I would end up breaking that off.
Sure.
And so I feel hopeful now that I might be able to replace those teeth now and not try snapping them off because I can't bite down so tough.
Well, that's awesome. So overall, before you had the DTR done to now, where would you say your discomfort with your symptoms were at, and then where would you rate them at today?
My discomfort was probably about a 90%.
Mhm.
And today I would say probably 50 or lower.
Okay, so that's
Because it's a significant change for me.
well, that's good. That's good.
And I'm really glad that I went ahead and did it.
That's great.
So
Good.
let's see
Okay.
if we can get
Yeah.
things.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get you hooked up, and we're gonna kind of check everything out, and maybe do a little slight refinement on things.
Okay.
And that's what we're here for today. Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so we just did your final scans with the T-scan and with the bio-EMG to see the muscle activity, and our disclusion times on the right and the left were excellent, which that kind of correlates with what you're saying, that all your symptoms have calmed down. Our muscle activity is drastically reduced from where we started at with you, which is just amazing, because we really were questioning what type of response we were going to get. When you had so much muscle activity just to begin with, and no back teeth necessarily to be correlating with all that muscle activity, that was one of the things that we were concerned about. Said, well, we don't know how you're really going to respond, and so it's great. We're happy. I think we're at a stable position at this point. So, what would you say has been your experience just from the overall process? Thoughts that you may share with somebody if they are in a similar situation that you've been in, okay, with possibly some long-term pain, headaches, migraines even, and what would you tell somebody who may be thinking about this treatment and kind of researching what it's all about?
When I began this, my first thought was money.
Right.
Okay. But when you look at 30 plus years of serious pain, jaw pain, headaches that are very hard to explain to anybody that doesn't have them, sometimes you have to think, is this going to be worth my while? Because I've tried everything.
Right.
I've had my teeth ground down. I've done numerous things over the years, and nothing helped me. So I was very skeptical.
Right.
And then you said, hey, I believe this is really going to help you, and it's advanced, and let's try this. And I would say to that person that lives a life like I did, it's worth the try.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never would have believed that this type of process would have helped me, because I thought I was too far gone. I thought this is something I'm going to have to live with the rest of my life. And I just have to continue taking medication. And I even remember telling you that it hurt my feelings when people thought that I might be drug seeking.
Sure.
But you just want the pain to go away.
Right.
And, I would just say that this was well worth it in the long run. And if I can spend the rest of my life feeling the way I feel right now, that's looking pretty bright.
Giving you some hope, where you
Yeah.
felt like there wasn't a whole lot of hope there
Sometimes
in the past, right?
it's a desperancy.
Yeah.
It really is, and you can't explain that to folks. I remember telling one doctor, I would never take my life, but there's days that I feel like if I blew my brains out, it wouldn't hurt any worse than the way I was hurting.
Yeah.
And to believe that it could
Yeah.
be associated with your teeth and the muscle reactions that I have in the back of my jaw, and then for you to kind of wipe it away is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm here because I was able to see it firsthand with myself, and I really have done a lot of studying, and this technique and this technology really was the only thing that stood out, because it actually does measure things, the biting forces and the muscle activity. All the other treatments for the TMD and TMJ treatments, none of them measure to the accuracy that this does, and so it's really neat to know that you're measuring something and then you see the results, because you've got starting points, you have middle points, and you have an end point. And to me, that's where the science, the technology, and everything kind of comes together. And you do kind of get that wow factor, and you kind of go, well, man, is it really possible for this to really be working? But the answer is yes. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And at
great.
least with this type of process, instead of it being, subjective,
Right.
then now, you're getting a measurement where, you know you're doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah. There's no more questions. It's no more how does it feel? What do you think? Those questions, the gray areas, are all answered with this type of technology.
Yeah.
So
Thank
that's
you.
great. Awesome.
All right.